So, I'll give a quick recap. We went on our first date, quote unquote, with the crazy girl who, after she had saved us from the roof. And she literally stood outside our house for like 4 days. Like not eating or sleeping, like legitimately. She just kind of sat out there and it was very awkward. And then, yeah, we got the Yandere. We gave it to her. She took the drugs, right? And then she suddenly seemed to just change her personality a little bit. And then we ran into our old friends who were dickheads. And then she got pissed. And now she's like back to normal. And then she went like back to normal. But then I had a psychotic breakdown. Or John had a psychotic breakdown. And went home. And now she's all sad. So this is like right after that. Sunday was a miserable slog through every second. John gave up on accomplishing anything whatsoever and just laid in bed feeling worse about himself. He fell asleep early and woke up in the early morning, not feeling better. That was impossible after a day wallowing in himself, but suddenly his energy was back. And he needed it, because he hadn't accomplished anything he needed to do over the weekend. He set forward to working feverishly on Monday's homework. By the time he needed to go to school, his eyes were gritty and his good mood was gone, but he was ready. High functioning. Autism. John sighed and headed to school. He was actually shocked to see Lizzie, not even watching him from a distance. Oh, he was shocked not to see Lizzie, not even watching him from a distance. Ooh, uh-oh, that's a bad sign. But after that weekend, it would be awkward to hang out with his friends, so he ended up just spending most of the day alone. At lunch, he decided he might as well go up to the roof again, and he found Lizzie already there. What it do, ho? Hi, Lizzie. I'm sorry if I was a jerk on Saturday. No, you're not at fault. I am. No, it was his friends. Wait, what? Part of me is gone now. It was dangerous, but it was part of me. What? She stood up and looked at him, and realized that she was standing at the very edge. The last time they had stood there, their positions had been reversed, and he hoped that wasn't a bad omen. Bro, I ain't grabbing her if she jumps. Straight up. Like... All I wanted is to be with you, John. For us to be together. I would do anything to make that happen. Anything. Kill my friends. But I don't think I could hurt someone. Not anymore. It feels so strange. Is it the drugs? The drugs might be working. Medication can make you feel strange for a while, but you don't like violence, do you? Do you want me to be different? Yes. He knew he should answer, but his throat felt so dry, and his mind was numb. I'll change myself for you, John. If that's what it takes for us to be together, I'll change however you need me to. Oh, that's so toxic. Is there part of me you don't like? I'll get rid of it. I'll tear it out. I'll cut it away right now. Or I'll just jump off the edge. It'll solve both of our problems. Dude, I'm being toxic now. Shit. John knew that he needed to say something to reassure her, to stop her from going down that self-destructive path, but he couldn't bring himself to speak. Instead, he stepped forward and embraced her. Lizzie gave a soft gasp and wrapped her arms around her torso. But she pushed into him, her head, ew. Come on, man. Come on, why couldn't it be like a, yeah, I got you, buddy. Just stay with me, okay? Please promise you won't ever leave. He nodded and she gave a happy squeal, but his mouth was still far too dry to speak. Almost as dry as my bussy after this dialogue. I hate myself. On Tuesday, John and Lizzie ate lunch together as if everything was normal, and in some bizarre way, it really was. Perhaps due to the medication, she seemed so much more stable than before. She was sweet and kind at all times, always considerate and affectionate. Yet, there was the occasional moment where she still seemed a little obsessed. The slightest positive comment from him would be interpreted as a sign of their destined love. But all in all, John was happier than he had ever been in a long time. His classmates even stopped messing with him about Lizzie, though he wasn't sure if that was because she seemed normal or because they were afraid of her. Yet he wasn't. Not really. He had a hard time believing that anyone could really love him, yet it seemed that Lizzie truly did. If anything, he worried that he could never love her back that intensely. Did we get some sort of weird happy ending right away? He had an appointment scheduled with Miss Smith on Wednesday, yet for once, when he walked into her office, he didn't feel like he desperately needed it. Ready for a session today, John? Actually, I'm feeling really good. Maybe we should skip today's. You should know better than that. If you stop the treatment that's making you feel better, you might have another relapse. No, you're right. Sorry. Don't be sorry. Just lie down and take a load off. So, how have you been doing lately? Well, I'm okay, I guess. It went from I'm pretty good to I'm okay, man. It's like going from real life, like, yeah, man, I'm happy, to Twitter being like, I fucking hate my life. I hate everybody. I hate everything. Like, that's better than most weeks, so it looks like you're making progress. By the way, I've seen you pass with a girl. Are you two dating? No, she's sort of stalking me. You're speaking casually, right? Stalking is an actual crime. You know you should report the— No, nothing like that. Good, I assumed as much, since it looked more than that to me. And along those lines, I have to ask, have the two of you been intimate? Yo, you banging? You getting that good buss? What? How can you ask that? I'm not teasing you. This is a very serious question. Better not be leading up to giving me a lecture about safe sex or abstinence or anything. So, should I take that as a no? Yes, I mean, no, we haven't done anything like that. That's good to hear that you're at least expressing interest. Wojtek got back to me about erozepam, and it's still decades from viability, so we don't have a solid option for libido issues. Can we talk about something else? Anything else? Sorry to make you uncomfortable, John, but I do need to be concerned about your welfare in all respects. To that end, I need to ask one more question. Has the girl ever displayed any strange behavior, erratic tendencies? I think she might already know about her. I think Miss Smith might already know about her. I should straight up be saying yes. Eric agrees, I'm doing it. John's fears flared up again and he nearly talked about the threats Lizzie had made. Yet a memory of her smiling sweetly at him flashed through his mind and he ended up saying nothing. Fucking pussy, dude, come on. Just, why give me the option to say yes if you're not gonna say yes when I pick the yes option? Is that a no? She's basically normal. As normal as I am. That's not much of a vote of confidence, but I know what you meant. I'm not being rude, John. This is important. You see, I looked up that girl's records, and to my surprise, I actually knew her mother. You knew Lizzie's mother? Yes. Abby Doss took part in one of our early clinical trials. She was one of the women who had been removed from the study when we learned that they had lied about being pregnant at the time. Oh. Plus, I thought she displayed addictive tendencies. I understand she began abusing prescription painkillers later in life too. The poor girl probably had a hard childhood. So she's fucked up because the mother was taking psychotic medication when she was pregnant? Bro, don't take antipsychotics, they'll make your kids fucked up. Confidentiality much? Bro, right? So anyways, I just hope that girl turned out alright. Any drugs taken while someone is in utero can have permanent long-term impacts, so I'm glad the girl turned out normal. Yeah, normal. Bro, why does he lie to everybody about her? Like, you want to get her help, but then you say she's fine. Like, that's not help. Moving on. You seem so much better. I assume the issue of emotional grayness took care of itself? Yeah, of course. No? Everything's still gray? Miss Smith seemed so positive, he couldn't bring himself to tell her the truth, because despite the general improvement in his life, that aspect of it had not. Lizzie was a single spot of color in his world, but the rest of it was even grayer than before. I think he's becoming obsessed. The rest of their session passed in a gray blur. When it was over, John was in a strange mood. He felt a little better, but not much. Usually after a therapy session, he floated into an empty tranquility, but now his mind was racing. He impatiently sat through his next class, but his mind was on what Miss Smith had said about Lizzie's mother. Could that be part of the reason for her instability? When he had a free period, John headed straight to the library and tried to look up past incidents. It was hard to find information on Koitek's old trials, but when he eventually gave in and looked up the microfilm, he actually found some relevant articles. He knew that Lizzie had been born in 1972, so he was able to skim back to around the time she had been born. He actually found the birth announcement in the local paper easily, but for the rest, he was left searching aimlessly through shitty local articles. She was born in 1972, so this... I'm in high school, or he's in high school, so this must take place in the mid-80s. And then, all at once, it was easy. There was a series of articles that took his research from a boring whim to something that actually had him on the edge of his seat. Apparently, before it was called Koitek, the company had been called Pharmavax. They'd rebranded after a series of drug recalls had ruined their reputation. John sat back, unable to read any further. Was that really the explanation? It felt so cheap. It was easy to presume that Lizzie's mother had been involved in one of the recalled Pharmavax trials, and her unborn child must have suffered the consequences. Could that really have unbalanced Lizzie this way? Yes. If so, that meant that this was no phase she was going through. If her early development had been altered, she was probably this way for life. Yet the second emotion he felt was anger. Anger that Miss Smith or anyone else could think Lizzie was just some freak chemical accident. Kinda is. Oh wait, that means he's pissed at me. John hates me, boys. John hates me, boys. It was too much like the scorn that had been heaped on him from his depression. Whatever her problems, Lizzie was a person who deserved respect. Help, but respect before anything else. Yeah, you're cock-blocking her help, by the way. Depression quickly followed on the heels of his anger. Unable to deal with any more of these thoughts, John just walked out without even replacing the microfilm. He drifted through the rest of the day, still stewing over what he had learned. At times, he could almost convince himself that this was a good thing. If drugs had unbalanced Lizzie, maybe they could balance her again as well. He could almost imagine them together, helping each other, maybe even getting married. Stay single, boys. When she passed him in the hallway, her eyes lit up. Not in mere elation, but with a burning intensity. And in that moment, John was sure that Lizzie could not be cured. Ugh. The question was, did he want her to be? Bro, this just got really intense. They respect that knife, the torched tree, and those thighs. Those thighs. Bro, I can't. Several days later, as they were leaving school, Lizzie caught up with him, an odd look on her face. John, I'm so happy. Really? I spent so long just watching you, imagining what it would be like to say hello, to hear you say my name, and for you to look at me. That we can actually talk like this. It's like a dream. A wonderful dream I never want to end. I'm happy I met you too, Lizzie. This past week has been fun. Bro. I picked every, like, rejection option I possibly could, and it just hasn't worked. This guy is just not savable. Say, how's the Yandere? Is it working out for you? No unpleasant side effects? It's wonderful. Thank you so much for giving it to me. Well, I hope we can find you some more once this dose runs out. Some drugs you can renew week to week, but I don't know about this one. It could be a pain. Oh no. I wouldn't want you to go to any trouble for me. But it's helping, right? I want you to be able to have more if you want it. That's so sweet, but it's not necessary. Now I understand what I need to change. I don't need it anymore. Before, when I confessed to you, you didn't give me a clear answer. Will you now? John, do you like me? No! Oh my god, John, you're dumb. John, you're gonna get stabbed. You're gonna get kidnapped and stabbed. Lizzie, yes, I like you. Ah! But I want proof we're more than just friends. Can we go somewhere together? Somewhere romantic? No. They might as well. People already thought of them as dating, and she seemed so sweet for so long. What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? Bro. Please? We have a lot of options, considering that we have all next week off. But we don't have to wait that long. How about we plan something for Friday night? I don't have a car to pick you up, but I can take you to a nice restaurant. Ah, yes. Good then, it's a plan. Friday, oh god. She would still have a day or two of medication left on Friday. John figured she would stay stable. Maybe the date would leave her happy enough that if she changed her mind about staying on her meds. No matter what mistakes her mother made, maybe Lizzie could be stable with the right treatment. John really thought this could work between them. You're wrong, John. You're wrong. She doesn't want to be cured. She's just telling you whatever you want to hear. Wow, John, this place is so nice. Why are you dressed the same as when we went casually searching for drugs for you? You should be dressed differently if we're out not doing just drugscapades. As nice a place as they'll let high school kids in with only a few days for reservation anyways. When I asked for a romantic place, I never dreamed it would be this romantic. I'm not dressed up enough for this, I know. This kind of place is where you take someone to propose. Oh, no, don't get the wrong idea here, bitch. Look here, I am not proposing, I'm like 12. Stop it. Just so it's clear, I'm not going to propose. Mom! Tell her how it is, bitch. Go, John, go. You! Well, remember, remember then that this is a good place for it. Yo, Eric, you misspelled yeah in your, like, weird spam. John could only hope that the place would be nice. All he knew about was that his parents said it was nice back when they were together. They entered, and Lizzie was delighted by everything. The decor, the menu, the lighting, the food. Maybe she was really just delighted with one thing. The event itself. Fortunately, the staff seemed to find her adorable instead of disturbing, so John found himself relaxing. Even when they were just chatting idly, Lizzie was nice to be around. Midway through the meal, he realized that Lizzie was resting her hand on the table. She wasn't necessarily inviting it, but if he stretched, he thought he could put his hand on top of hers. Just keep fucking talking, don't even touch the bitch. Hell no, you might get the crazy might spread to you. Don't even, might be like HIV or some shit, don't even bother. Deciding against it, John just focused on keeping the conversation flowing. Lizzie actually wasn't getting a lot eaten, since she didn't talk with her mouth full and listened raptly whenever he talked, but at least she seemed to be having fun. After a while, Lizzie patted at her mouth with a napkin and sighed in satisfaction. That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Dude, this is getting too romantic. There's not enough stabby and crazy, like, bro. Yeah, it's all really good. Not the food, the date. Well, the food, if the food is bad, the date is bad. Say the food's fucking good. Oh, but I've made you talk so much. You haven't gotten to eating very much. That's okay, no, I'll be quiet and watch you while you eat. Ew. Bro. So, Lizzie, how about you tell me where you live? Oh, it isn't too special, just a house. Thanks. Do you live with somebody? I know not your parents, but some other relative? No, it's just me. Abby inherited the house, I think, and she didn't manage to sell it off when things got bad. Abby, my mother, she was an awful woman. I don't want to talk about her. Well, her eyes just went dead as soon as her mother was mentioned. It's a nice enough house, I suppose. Abby wrecked a lot of it, but I've been able to repair it with money from James. Your father? I guess, but he never cared enough to meet me. Abby always complained about him, and the checks don't always come. But I don't want to talk about that. It's all horrible, isn't it? People can't even pretend to be in love, just tear each other apart. That's not what I want, not at all. When I fell in love with you, I knew it would last forever. Oh, that's... ugh. Oh, my guy. Oh, no. Bro. Stay single, boys. Wouldn't it be nice for us to get a house together? Maybe even build one? Oh, so many choices, I can't decide. But I want it to be something we choose together, not something we inherit. Someplace where we want to live together forever. Maybe a big house, big enough that I can have lots of nice windows, but also rooms inside, where no one can see us. Oh, no. No, I want to be able to call for help, okay? Like, the people, we need just a whole house just that is nothing but windows. That way, like, boom, if you try anything, people are gonna know. I even want the basement to be only windows. Like, that way the insects and the earthworms and bullshit will see you murking me down in the basement and can crawl to my savior. Like, bro. Nah. Glass house it is, bro. Lizzie giggled and squirmed in her seat as if she couldn't contain herself. And now I'm just saying things. None of those things really matter. The only thing in our house that I'll care about is you. It was the longest he had yet gotten her to talk about herself or her goals, and while I was still pretty focused on him, he didn't mind hearing the details. It's a very nice image, Lizzie. Oh, I'm glad you think so. And you finished your food. This has been wonderful, but can we go now? Can we? Only slightly worrying about what she was thinking, John paid the bill, trying not to wince, and then they left the restaurant. They got onto the bus and Lizzie eagerly sat right beside him. The conversation had gotten interrupted and he was worried it would feel awkward. But Lizzie didn't seem to mind. After a moment, she hesitantly slid her hand along his arm as if trying to take his hand, but too nervous to do so. You know we pulling back, boys. Pull out game strong as fuck. John shifted to fold his arms, putting his hand out of her reach. Lizzie pouted, but a moment later she leaned against his shoulder. Backfire! Backfire! Ah, fuck! Goddamn! Mission failed, boys! Mission failed! Abort! Abort! This feels so nice. Yes, it does. Really? You enjoyed tonight? I did. It's not often that I hear you talk about things you want, other than me. Oh, I felt the bad energy when he said that. It felt ridiculous to say that, like some kind of boast. And a second later, he realized that it might just be exasperating her problem, or at least making light of it. But Lizzie just considered his words thoughtfully, and then gave a slow nod. I've always wanted to know everything about you, John. I'm glad you want to know about me. John, would you like me less if I stopped taking the medicine? Yes. Yes. So basically, you've been trying to get away from her at every option. This is where we ended up. I think we're outmatched. Honestly, I feel like I'm fighting against John more than anything, dude. I feel like he wants this a lot more than we do, boys. I'm gonna just be real. I don't even feel like I'm fighting her advances. I feel like I'm fighting John's crotch. Like, shit. What was he supposed to say to that? John desperately racked his brain for a good answer. I like you, Lizzie. I like the person you really are. Is the person you are now the person you really are? What do you mean? I mean, when I get depressed, I don't feel like myself. Medicine might change me, but it's just to change me back to myself. But it's not who you naturally are. Does that matter? I mean, we get to choose who we are. Otherwise, we're not really people. We're just animals. You just called Lizzie an animal, my man. So, who are you, Lizzie? You seem like a nice person now that I've gotten to know you. Is this not who you want to be? Did you feel better before taking the medicine? But you liked me tonight? Answer the fucking question. Tonight was wonderful, but I'm not suggesting I didn't like you before. Silly John, don't worry about it. I love you no matter what. You're not answering the question. You're avoiding the question. Answer the goddamn question. Now, would you like to see my house? No. Is it made out of glass? Is there neighbors always outside? Is it right next to a really busy park? John froze, not sure how to take the question. Then again, Lizzie had already seen his house. Maybe she just wanted to open up. He said he'd like to hear her talk about herself after all. If she was actually offering to let him into her life a little bit more, it would be stupid of him to turn it down. Sure, Lizzie, I'd love to see it. Oh no, you're gonna regret that, John. John! I'm sure you will. Absolutely sure. He'd planned to take her to her stop. Why is it so hard to say? Just to be gentlemanly, but now John found himself getting off at the same place. Lizzie eagerly set off from the bus stop, looking back to make sure he was following. In the end, she led him to a small house. It was a cozy little thing, much warmer and much more pleasant than he'd expected. Here it is. Huh, it's cozy. You don't need to flatter my house, silly. All that matters is that we'll be there. Oh no. Oh no. She let him inside and showed him around, though it was very strange and an erratic tour. He wondered if this was the first time she'd ever showed someone inside her home. Yes. The inside of the house was less cozy than the outside, not because of the house itself, but because of how bare it is. A few rooms looked as though they'd been used, but the rest looked like they were out of a catalog. It mimicked a house, but it didn't look like a place where anybody lived. The only thing that didn't match the catalog was a heavy metal door off a side hallway. Lizzie didn't make the slightest reference to it or even seem to notice it existed. Huh. This picture, is this your mother? I'm worried about that room now. That's the that's the tie me up and fucking kidnap me for my entire existence room, bro. That is the ankle breaking fucking drug taking room, bro. That is the cut my dick off and put it up your butt just to let it soak in there for the rest of your life type room. Like, bro. Oh, that. I forgot I even had that. Lizzie didn't seem to care, but John was curious enough to pick up the frame and look closer. He was surprised to find his hand immediately coated in dust. That had to have been years of dust. How could Lizzie have lived here for so long and never even disturbed a picture sitting on a table like this? Did she just like completely mentally tune it out? In any case, he could see where Lizzie got her good looks from, but other than that, she and her mother didn't look very much alike. It was something in Lizzie's eyes and posture that was just lacking in her mother. Absurdly, his mood began to decline. It was just a random relationship from people he didn't know. It had nothing to do with him, yet the idea of people producing a child from a relationship they obviously cared so little about sent him into a spiral. John? John, you shouldn't be sad. Our house wouldn't have anything like this in it. Huh? No, I was just, don't worry, I want to be around you every second of every day forever. No, that is bad, bad sign, no. Oh, who am I kidding? There's been nothing but bad signs this whole time, and John's just like, I love bad signs, come here. But I know that wouldn't work when we grow up. I can get a job, I'm good at lots of things. It'll be sad being apart, but we can call each other at work and send each other things, and when we get home, we see each other again after so long, it'll feel so good. Her picture of the future actually sounded nice, lifted a little of the cloud in his head, but he couldn't find a way to put that into words, so he said nothing. Don't threaten me with a good time. John, probably. Undeterred, Lizzie encouraged him into the living room and pushed him onto a large couch. It hadn't seen much use, but it was free from dust and gloriously soft. Gloriously. You stay here, okay? Give me a moment to change out of this. Don't come back naked. John swallowed and stayed where he was. He didn't have a lot of experience, but he'd heard his friends talk about their exploits. He thought a lot of it was lies, but was there something in what they said? If Lizzie really came out wearing lingerie or something else crazy, he didn't know what he would do. He honestly didn't. Part of him had been asleep for a long time. Part of him that had been asleep for a long time liked that idea, fantasized about what might happen. Grabs the pillow, puts it. Another part of him was incredibly nervous and even considered the idea of being closer to her. He couldn't keep sitting there. His nerves would destroy him. Instead, John got up and began to look around the house more carefully. The dustiest part of the house seemed to have remnants of Lizzie's mother. At least he didn't think Lizzie would be into cheap little glass figurines. Opening one of the rooms, he discovered that it was an unused bedroom. He was about to go when he spotted another picture frame sitting beside the bed. Bro, she had the crazy eyes back then too, bro. Uh-oh. She's gonna catch me looking in this room. She's gonna be like, why did you enter this room? Nobody comes in this room. This one featured Lizzie as a child, sitting in her mother's lap. It struck him so strongly that he had immediately went to look at it more carefully, not caring that his hand got even dustier. Lizzie's mother was glowing and obviously proud of her daughter, while Lizzie ignored her entirely. No, not just ignored her. It was a flat emptiness in her eyes, as if they weren't even related. It didn't seem to stop her mother in the picture, but the distance between them was agonizing. Why would anyone keep a picture like that, much less frame it? John stared at it a while longer and then set it down and left the room. The look Lizzie had been giving her mother, those eyes shouldn't have belonged to a human child. John didn't want to think about it a second longer, so he rushed out of the room as fast as he could. Desperate for something to take his mind off of that unpleasant thought, John looked around for anything else. The door next to the bedroom was jammed, but he wrenched it open, stared. The room was filled with pictures of him, his yearbook photos, but also a lot of pictures of him in class, pictures that she must have taken herself. Fuck. There were pictures of him sleeping in his own bed. And you went into her house. For a moment, he just stood there, trembling. Then John snapped back into his senses. He immediately stepped back and closed the door, trying not to make a sound. He told himself he shouldn't be surprised. He knew she was obsessed. But it still shook him. He was inside his stalker's house. Yeah, now you realize how bad it was when you were being all flirty and thinking she was cute. John? Yes, I just wandered off. I'm coming back. Good. There's something I want to show you. Oh no, bro. Was I just chilling on a staircase this whole time? John. Oh shit. What are you doing with that axe? You don't trust me, John. That makes me sad. I think I'm gonna trust you when you're coming at me with an axe? I tried to be patient. I can't wait any longer. For what? So I need to take matters into my own hands. Hold still, John. Bro, the way you're holding that axe, bro, I'm gonna die. Oh no, I feel like it's total John energy to beg. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's total John energy to beg, but I'm standing firm. I'm a man. John did his best to stay in place, afraid that running would just make her chase him. But as she got closer, she scraped the axe along the wall and gave him a smile that was anything but sweet. This won't hurt very much, and then things will be better. Trust me. What the fuck? Why is it here? Oh, I can't make him love me. I'm gonna murder him. Like, bro, that's not how this works. If you would have just been normal, as bad as that sounds, just be normal. Just trust her. If I make a break for it, she's gonna chase me down and start stabbing the shit out of me, bro. I know it. Swallowing, John stayed where he was. Lizzie got even closer, her smile widening. And then her other hand came up. Instead of a weapon, it held a dark rag. It was over his mouth and nose before he could react. Stunned, John only struggled instinctually, and then chemical fumes overwhelmed him. Oh no, now she's the one giving me drugs. Oh no. There it is. John woke to the feeling of something tight on his wrists. At first, he thought he must be tangled in the sheets, but when he tried to move his hands, they were stuck. The memories returned in a bitterly cold flood. Lizzie had actually knocked him out by force and brought him wherever he was. His blurry vision slowly returned, and he could make out a rough basement around him. He could see a heavy metal door at the top side. I told you that was the kidnapper! Look at all the knives in the background! Look at it's just all hanging on the wall! It looked as though there were shelves and tools around the wall, but he couldn't pay attention to those. Not with Lizzie standing in front of him, eyes fixed onto his face. I'm glad you're awake now. Are you feeling okay? Okay? You've... I didn't want it to have to be this way, John, but I don't have a choice. You're confused, John. You don't understand how much this matters. I'll help you understand. Bro, she had him already. Like, he was falling for her. She just had to keep it up. Like, bro, what are you gonna do to me? Don't be afraid, John. Everything is going to be all right. I'm completely empty. There's nothing inside me. We can change that. Oh, God, I hate myself. There's never been anything inside me. The emptiness craves something. Oh, no, ugh. Okay, I take it back. We're not gonna change that. You're not getting what you're craving, bitch. I didn't understand what I needed for years. Eventually, I realized I needed a person, a specific person. But I didn't know who. Occasionally, there would be a flicker of feeling. I'd watch someone for a while, but they were never what I needed. Nothing actually mattered. Till I met you. But let me finish. Sorry. For so long, I could barely even bear to look at you. The feelings were too intense. Then I couldn't bring myself to talk to you. I was afraid it would all just disappear. But the feelings didn't go away. They got stronger. You were made for me, John. You need to understand that. Oh my god, the eyes got super crazy, dude. But you don't understand, because you're confused. That's why I need to keep you here. You think this is gonna help? Bro, literally all my opinions of you just fucking went down the gutter, bitch. Like, bro. It may be difficult at first, John, but you'll come to understand. I promise you will. After all, I have days and days with you all to myself. Oh no. Oh, I think we got the worst ending, bro. Oh, I should have just gotten killed. Days and days. John recalled that they were going into a full week vacation. That meant she could keep him here a full 9 days before they had to return to school. A week is 7 days, bud. That was no accident. He'd coldly planned the entire thing. Maybe she'd been manipulating him since before he even asked her for the date. Part of him was terrified. Obviously she was manipulating. That's why she literally asked every 5 seconds, what'll make you like me better? I'll change. What'll make me like you better? Do you like me? Do you like me now? Well, I'm taking the drugs, John. Do you like me now? Like, bro. Part of him was terrified. Part of him was furious. And another part, his depression saw a twisted mirror of his own feelings. What the worst he had ever done was say unkind things. Not this. Just, what did she plan to do to him anyways? I don't want to know. As he looked around the basement, he saw a lot of heavy tools. Some of the hammers and knives look as if they've been used. John slumped against the ropes, binding him in the chair, and just wept. He wasn't sure how long the release of emotion continued, but when it was over, John felt as though his mind had been purged. His current situation might be pretty bad. Was she just like sitting in the room watching him cry? His current situation might be pretty bad, but he still had options. He could figure out something, assuming he figured out what he even wanted to do. The sane thing to do would be find a way to escape, contact the police, or maybe it would be safer to convince Lizzie to calm down, take more medication, and not hurt him. John, we're gonna have ever so much time together. Aren't you excited? Oh, absolutely. He needed to say something, turn the situation around, but it was just so hard to focus. Before I got to know you, I thought this would be the easy part. I thought I understood how people worked. Some things never made much sense to me, but others are so simple. Lizzie walked up to one of the walls and began running her fingers over the tools there. She picked up a knife and caressed the edge, partially turning away from him. I thought that once I found you, I could make you mine, and then I would feel whole. But you see, I underestimated how much you would change me. I'm so much happier, and everything is so much more complicated. Then why are you trying to kill me then? Bro. She walked towards him, wearing a soft, loving expression, but still holding the knife. John froze and held his breath as she walked behind him. I want all of you, John, even the parts I didn't know existed before. You didn't go to sex education? If I hurt you, I would never really have what I want. Oh, okay. Okay, she just said I'm not dead. The knife slid past his face, but only as Lizzie moved to embrace him. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed herself against his back, inhaling deeply. Stop breathing me in. I love you so much. I wouldn't be satisfied with just a shell of you. Without warning, she pulled back. The adoration in her expression was gone, replaced with an empty gaze fixated on him. But that makes this so much harder. What are you gonna do to me? I don't know. I wish I knew. I took time to think, but it didn't help. Oh, that's right. She said she wanted to see what was inside my brain. Oh no. That would hurt me. She's not gonna hurt me, right? Oh, but what if she doesn't think it hurts me? Oh no. She is crazy. Alright. You know what? You know what? This whole time, I've been like, no. And now that I'm tied up, if I try to charm her, she's gonna think what she's doing is working. She's gonna be like, oh, I knew you'd start loving me if I kidnapped you and broke your ankles. I'm doing it. Lizzie, weren't we having a good time earlier? Getting closer together? Yes, it was wonderful. We can go on another date. Just let me out. We can keep going the way we were before. Oh, she's liking this idea. But I need more than that. I need to help you. No, she reverted. Never mind. We're boned. He didn't want to push too hard, but he thought he got through to her a little. If he kept appealing to her romantic side, maybe he could get out of this. I have a sneaking suspicion that she wasn't actually taking those drugs either. I think she was just like saying she was. I'm sure she took the first dose, but I think after that she wasn't taking it. Lizzie paced around the room for a while, muttering under her breath, then suddenly straightened. Throwing aside the knife, it embedded itself into the wall. She fucking threw that thing. He went to a closet and after a few seconds of searching emerged with a chain. Yes, this'll be better. Sorry, John, I should have thought of this earlier. She clamped one end around his ankle, then lifted the table at the end of the room and latched the other side of the chain there. Plucking the knife back out of the wall, Lizzie cut through John's bonds with troubling speed, smiling all the way. See? You don't have to be all tied up. Here, use this table. I'll bring you whatever you need. Lizzie swept all the objects from the table like they were so much trash, then frowned down at an empty space. But you didn't bring your books, because of the date. Is there anything you want me to bring for you? He stared at her, still not entirely sure how to deal with this change. Licking his lips, John spoke before he could fully think out of his words. Can I have some water? Oh, of course, yes, water. You slept so long, you'll probably be hungry soon too. Just wait here. While she was gone, he did his best to rub some feeling back into his wrists and look around the room. The chain attached to the table was fairly long. He thought he could reach most of the basement except for the far end of the door at the top of the stairs. Not that he could try anything when she was nearby and could return at any moment. He did try to lift the table though, see if he could slip the chain out from under the leg, and couldn't even budge it. Bro, he can't lift that table, but she just like yeeted it up. What the hell? Was there some trick to it? Or was she just that strong? Bro, she's like He-Man. Oh no. Oh no. Bro, this is why you don't flirt with crazy girls and you just go to the gym, boys. Zizz it up, you know? John thought that it might have been his imagination, or she was just fueled by passion. But to move the table as easily as she did, that shouldn't have been possible. There wasn't time for anything else before Lizzie returned, bearing kitchen supplies. Just wait a moment, I'll make you something, and we can be together while I make it. Isn't that wonderful? Not waiting for an answer, she laid out her ingredients on the side of the table, then set up a chopping board. She began reducing vegetables to little chunks with terrifying ease. Knife a silver blur in her hands. I know just what to cook today, but you can ask for whatever you want later, okay? I'll make you anything you like. Thank you? This is all I want, John. A peaceful life at home. I'm not at peace. You can stay inside, ignore everyone who wants to hurt you. I'll keep you safe, bring you whatever you need, take good care of you, and never go outside. Of course you could go outside if you wanted to, but right now I'm just afraid. Her movements became more erratic, and John saw several chips of wood fly away from the cutting board. Don't make me eat those. Lizzie was still smiling sweetly. Don't you want that too? To be able to just stay inside on bad days and ignore the world? That did sound good to him, but when he shifted his legs, he heard a chain clinking along the floor, and whatever he had been meaning to say evaporated out of his mind. Bro, he's like, you know, yeah, that wouldn't... Oh, fuck, that's right. As absurd as it was, the day continued almost normally. Lizzie made him an elaborate meal, and they ended up chatting over it as if everything was normal. It felt wrong to do so, but he worried that doing anything else might just antagonize her. Actually smart move. Did she really think that this would work in the end? Honestly, he had no idea. And did she really need to do so much cutting for every single dish? When they had finished and chatted for a while, Lizzie abruptly hopped back onto her feet. Okay, just a moment. I'm gonna get your books, okay? I don't want you to be angry with me for making you fall behind on your homework. Is there anything else you want me to get from your house? Well, just let me know if you need anything, alright? She skipped away and he heard the door above him close. He wondered if it could be a trick somehow, but after enough silence passed, he felt reasonably certain that she had actually gone to his house. Though she could have taken his key, he saw it still resting on the far table with the other things he'd been carrying. Though, he'd made a copy at some point. Or could she just pick the lock? Neither possibility was exactly comforting, but he didn't have time for that. John got to his feet, stretched, and considered his options. Bro, okay, he was surprised that she had pictures of him sleeping. But he literally went to sleep with her like this in his window, like smiling and staring inside when he woke up. And he just ignored her and went to go brush his teeth and stuff and went back to bed, and she was still just sitting there. Like, bro. Simp for Lizzie. You know what? If I'm gonna be stuck here anyways, I might as well. Maybe I can make her something and just like, she'll be so distracted with it, she'll let me go. Dude, that's not how it's gonna work at all, by the way. Double down on the charm. Alright, we made the right decision. Deciding his best bet was to try to encourage Lizzie's good nature, John set to working with the kitchen supplies she left nearby him. His options without a stove were limited, but he did his best to make her something that looked like real effort had been put into it. He was no chef, but he thought she would like anything he made with his own hands. Probably. Strangely, the act of making something for her helped him forget about the fact that he was chained in her basement. The situation might be messed up, but perhaps there was a core of something salvageable. When Lizzie saw his gift, she blushed and then took it away hurriedly. John blinked, but he didn't have time to object. The next time he saw her, though, she was beaming. Though John spent all of Saturday tense, Lizzie showed no signs of intending to hurt him. That night she brought a mattress and bedding down to the basement and set it up close enough so that I could lie down on it. When he woke up on Sunday, he felt strangely normal, still tense. The situation was far from ordinary, but in a strange way he had learned to deal with it. Already? He's already just like, I think this could be pretty good. I think I could deal with this. This ain't bad. I could see a future here, bro. Like, no. Bro, this guy literally said make her a paper mache penis. With what paper mache? What mold? I'm gonna use mine as a mold. That day passed almost normally. Since Lizzie had brought him his books, he tried to work through his homework, just like he often did on a Sunday. Lizzie stayed with him most of the day, working as well. He made meals for them both in his basement and upstairs, but she always stayed close. He hoped for a chance to evaluate his options more, but never spotted one since he was always leaning in to smile at him from the stairwell. How you doing in there, John? Doing good? Yeah? Alright, John. I'll be back, John. Yo, John, just making sure you're not escaping yet, John. The only useful thing he learned was that the basement door was apparently unlocked except at night. If he could somehow get unchained from the table, he had a shot at getting out. During the day only, though, apparently. When Monday dawned, he crashed almost immediately and didn't even get out of bed. That was common for vacations when he didn't have friends to distract him, since all he could do was wallow in himself. It felt worse than usual. His world wasn't just gray. His depression was filled with flecks of anger and confusion. Well, no shit, you're a kidnap victim. Only then did he realize that he hadn't taken any medication since Friday morning. When Lizzie entered that morning, she immediately saw how badly he was doing and rushed to the mattress, at first fussing with his sheets before realizing the problem was deeper than that. John, what's wrong? Other than you keeping me here? Oh, I'm sorry. No, if I let you go, you'll just hate me. It'll ruin everything. If you wouldn't have kidnapped me to begin with, none of this would have happened. He would never hate you, actually. He would have probably just like, it probably would have just been a happy ending. Like, then at least bring me my Paxatine. It's in the shelf above the sink to the... No, I won't bring it to you. I can't. I destroyed it. I need my drugs, bitch! Bro, she broke my drug. Oh, hell no, dude. But I need that. You understand how serious my condition is, right? I know, I really do. But you shouldn't take their drugs. Not theirs. But... you were taking something before Paxatine, right? Tell me what it was. I'll go get some for you. I want you to get better, John, but I won't let you take anything from Koitek. So she didn't take the Yanderella, or the Yanderine? I forgot what it was called. She didn't take the Yandere drugs I gave her. I feel like I should lie to try to get the Paxatine, right? Because I need that, right? You know what? She'll believe anything I say. Afraid she might be trying to drug him, John struggled to remember other medications he tried. He mentioned a few names of ones that hadn't seemed to have much effect on him. Lizzie nodded, but there was an emptiness to her eyes. When she went upstairs, she didn't leave the house. She just paced about erratically. When she brought him food, she smiled, but her eyes were hard. John tried to beg her, but she refused to answer. What the hell was with her paranoia? Did she hate Koitek because of her mother? He had no answers, and Lizzie left him alone, without her to distract him. He only slipped deeper into depression. After lunch on Tuesday, Lizzie started carrying electronics down the stairs. He blinked in confusion until she brought down the TV and started hooking everything together. Or at least attempting to. After a moment, she sighed and looked at him sheepishly. Do you know how this works? I can try to figure it out. He got up and did his best to help. She had a pretty nice VCR, leading him to wonder why she had it and didn't know how to put it together. It wasn't like someone else would have bought it for her. Do you not use this much? Never. I don't really watch television. Like, at all? No. It seemed weirdly apathetic about a lot of things, but he thought that she just wasn't into pop culture. Yet now, something in her voice made him suspect it was something else entirely. What about music then? I don't listen to music. Really? Well, what about books? Only nonfiction that seems useful. The rest of it all seems pointless. What do you do for fun then? She stared back at him for so long. He was afraid she might just ignore the question. Well, sorry, I enjoy a few things now, thanks to you. I thought she was gonna straight up be like, I only enjoy you, John. Just like... I spent a lot of time collecting those knives because I thought they would be useful, but now it's a little different. Now I can imagine myself protecting you. All the details about grips, edges, they're not just details now. They interest me. Because they have to do with John. Oh no. So he'd given her an interest in knives. Fantastic. Anyways, I thought maybe I could enjoy a movie if I watched it with you. Is that okay? We might as well try. I've had to put it all together for a while. Anyways, we can try it. Lizzie brought a chair and sat beside him as they watched the tape. He was grateful that she at least watched the movie instead of him. It was nothing at all like how watching a film with a girl was supposed to be. According to his friends, Lizzie didn't seem remotely nervous about the scary parts, and his surprise didn't seem to care about the romantic parts. Then again, he didn't think he really would want her to react that way. It definitely wouldn't feel like who she was. Personally, he couldn't get into the movie at all. The grayness of everything around him drained all the satisfaction from the activity, and also the whole being kidnapped part probably would make it hard to enjoy a movie too. When it finally ended, Lizzie gave a small smile and he thought represented authentic satisfaction. Then she immediately turned to him. We should watch something together again, but I think I'd rather make our own. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. No. His mind immediately flashed to making porn together. No, 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 no. And he had to force the thought away. What kind of movie? I would just like to film you. Here. Working or eating or anything. I could watch it later. No. No. Oh, that's just as bad. No. That's so weird. No. Really? Wouldn't that be boring? No. Watching you could never be boring. Oh, this is such a good idea. I'll go buy one of those video recorders. Not to cut you off, but wouldn't that be incriminating evidence? Huh? Fuck, what was he saying? It's too late to go back now. I mean, it's not legal to hold someone like this, and your basement looks kind of suspicious. You wouldn't want someone to find it later. Oh, you care! Yeah, that's a sign of me caring about your well-being there. I definitely don't want to escape this basement. I definitely don't want you to get caught. Lizzie embraced him cheerfully and despite himself. John felt a flicker of joy. When she was happy, it seemed so purely happy. You're right, of course. I'm so glad you're thinking about keeping me safe. Even if I wanted to be the other way around, John is so kind. But maybe later we can make our own movies, okay? Okay? Yeah, maybe. Dodge the bullet. Whew. No porn today, boys. I'm glad the game addressed the thought of a sex tape immediately too, dude. Nah, I'm not alone there. I'm not alone. The writer knew exactly what the idea was going to be behind that. John had considered trying to use the tape as evidence, but quickly realized that he didn't want to go there. Even if Lizzie had tapes of him, he could be certain that she would watch them over and over. And if she did that, he had a bad feeling she would notice his escape attempts. There would be some detail he couldn't hide, and then she would completely stop trusting him. No. For now, he needed to focus on getting out. On Wednesday, Lizzie wanted to watch another movie, but John suggested that might be too many. Instead, they passed the day quietly, working and chatting and ignoring the fact that he was chained to the table. Though he was feeling even more depressed than before, John had enough perspective to realize that they wouldn't make progress like this. He needed to shift things somehow. But what should he say? Try to leverage the last few friendly days into letting him go? Just try to make her relax more? Try to convince her that he wouldn't leave her? Probably the latter. So Lizzie. I feel like these are all just bad ideas. Her peers would be a bad idea because she hates everybody but John. Romance would be a bad idea because she's gonna get all apathetic and start talking about how she only cares about John. Mortality will be bad because she's gonna just talk about how she only cares about John. Her interests are only John. None of these are good options. Oh, morals. Oh, did I misread? I did totally misread that. Never mind. Morality is also a bad option because she doesn't have morals. She only cares about John. Let's just go with romance, dude. Fuck it. Talk about virginity. That would be morality. Because it's morally righteous to stay a virgin, boys. You know what it is, boys. You know, earlier you said that you didn't do much for fun earlier, but I'm not sure that's true. You seem to have spent an awful lot of time imagining us being together, dates and everything else. Yes, I've dreamt so many times of our first, well, everything. But not just our firsts. The second times will be wonderful too, and then we'll just get closer and closer together until nobody can take us apart. I don't think I've ever heard you mention marriage, though. Oh, of course I want us to get married. I didn't want to mention it because that can scare away boys. That's because marriage is a trap, boys. Boys, marriage is a trap. If it's mentioned, run. Get out of there. Oh, but yes, I've imagined it so much. We should use one of those old cathedrals, and I can wear a beautiful white dress. Sorry, they say you can't wear white if you're insane. Ah, and the pictures. We'll have perfect pictures of us on our wedding day that we can keep forever and ever. Who are you imagining attending this wedding? Does there need to be anyone else? If it's in a huge cathedral, yeah. I'm pretty sure you at least need one person there to do the actual marrying, or it doesn't count legally. Oh, yes, I suppose we need to have that person, and someone to take photos. And it's okay if you want to invite people from your family, I guess. I don't really care about them, though. Honestly, no. I'm not sure I would have anyone who would come. Oh, John, don't feel bad. I don't have any family members to attend either. You wouldn't invite them even if you did. We'll make our own family, won't we? No. You don't need to care about anyone. No, I'm not making a family with that. For the rest of the day, Lizzie was floating on a cloud of positive emotions. Then she gazed at him adoringly. John found himself smiling back. Maybe romance was the correct play here. He woke up in a foul mood, half depressed and half angry. Lizzie was watching him with a concerned look on her face. Are you sure I can't bring you medicine, John? I asked you for medicine. Bro. If you're not going to bring me Paxitine, then there's no point. That displeased her, and he really didn't want to go down that road, so John cast about for a topic to distract her. That reminds me, I've been meaning to ask you. You've run out of Yandere, right? I haven't taken it for days. I destroyed it. I destroyed the rest of it the day before our date. Told you. You destroyed it? Why? It was useful. It helped me understand, but I wasn't myself while I was taking it. I wish you'd reconsider taking medication. We can't handle everything ourselves. Sometimes we need help. You don't understand. It's not that simple. Then explain it to me. I wasn't myself. It was like someone had imprisoned me and took my place. Imagine, Imagine if your own medication meant that you could never feel sad again. Just constant manic happiness. That does sound horrible. I'm sorry I made you take it. Don't say that. It was useful. Having things be different for a while made it easier to see how everything fits together. But I couldn't take any longer than that. I wanted to be myself again. Wojtek doesn't want to help people, John. They just want to control them. Wasn't the whole stipulation was I'll stay with you if you keep taking the drugs? Like, bro. Like, come on, man. Are you just saying that metaphorically? Or do you actually know something about them? No. No. Abby was an addict because of them. I never cared about her, but I saw what Wojtek's drugs did to her. It didn't change who she was. He was always horrible. The drugs just made her identity obvious. Not like you, John. You're still so kind, even though you were taking that drug. I feel like he's angrier and more hostile off his drugs. But they won't be satisfied with that. Are you seriously saying Wojtek is some kind of conspiracy? Conspiracy? No, I don't think so. They just want money, and they're willing to cut corners to make it. I don't care what they do to anyone else, but I needed you to stop taking that drug. You needed to see clearly. He almost wanted to believe her. Wojtek was a huge company, and those weren't exactly known for their ethics. It was plausible that they had been testing some dangerous drugs on Lizzie's mother. It had probably been too dangerous for adults, but had magnified impact on a developing child. Did Lizzie see that on some level? Or was she just paranoid about the company? Sometimes she seemed so. And you should stop seeing Mrs. Smith. She's trying to steal you away, I'm sure of it. She low-key kind of did, but that was for John's best interest. Legitimately, John's best interest. Lizzie, don't be ridiculous. She's 10 years older than me, and the school counselor. I can't trust her. You can't. You shouldn't. Calm down. No one is going to steal me away. She stared at him as if desperately wanting to believe his words. A moment later, she gave an odd little, half shrug. I came in to say I need to run some errands today, so I'll leave you alone, okay, John? Yeah, sure. She left the room, and John knew he had a rare opportunity, but he found himself sitting and thinking. Could there be some validity to what she said? These days, it took all the energy he had just to interact with Lizzie. He was declining, and declining fast. All at once, he felt completely alone. Held out for Lizzie, but, of course, she had already gone. Was this all he was worth? Just a plaything for an insane girl? His own father hadn't even noticed that he was gone over the vacation. None of his friends had called. To them, he might as well not exist. He might as well not exist. John spent a long time sitting there motionlessly, descending even further into self-loathing. None of it mattered. It was all a cruel joke. If this is where the rest of his life was going to be, it wasn't worth it. He came to that realization in a horrible moment of clarity and stood to his feet, driven by desperation. John managed to shove the table closer to the wall and filled it with weapons that gave him enough slack to reach out and grasp one of the sharpest looking knives. He had thought about it ending it all before in his darkest moments. He even had tried to learn more about exactly how it could be done. A few cuts to his wrist, and that would be the last pain he would have to feel. It would all really be over. Before he could stop himself, he sat down, gripping the knife as hard as he could, and cut. He had always wondered what he would feel, aside from the pain. Sometimes he thought it would be a relief, a sensation of finally being done with this horrible life washing over him. In his more stable moments, he wondered if he wouldn't feel a sense of regret, a final desperate desire for life after it was too late. Instead, he felt nothing. Wow, he offed himself. It literally just said game over and brought me back to the... Bro, she didn't even do anything to me. Literally just offed himself. Yeah, let's ask for the old medication and see if that makes the difference. See if that makes a difference. Thinking back, John tried to remember the medications that had seemed to do some good. Maybe they weren't as good as Paxitine, but they would be better than nothing. Yeah, maybe if she goes and gets those drugs, she will then maybe it won't be as bad and I won't off myself. Apparently, just remembering all the chemical names he'd listed, Lizzie hopped up the stairs and practically slammed the door in her hurry on her way out. Abruptly alone, John realized that he had another chance to act. Okay, so I made something for her last time. Let's just do the same thing. I want to see if maybe like being stable, doing the same like romantic outcome bullshit will do a difference. Since the previous dish she had made. Okay, we're just gonna skip ahead a little bit here. Eventually, Lizzie returned, bearing a large white sack. She triumphantly emptied it out on the table, dumping an entire pile of pills in front of him. She'd gotten every drug he mentioned, even the prescription ones. He hated to think about the nasty consequences if she tried to give him all of these at once. But instead, Lizzie just brought him a glass of water and set it down beside the pile. Pick anything you need to get better, okay? I'll just leave these here, but you can ask for more water whenever you want. What if he offs himself with the drugs instead now? Shit. Thank you. Of course, John. I'm doing all this because I want you to get better. I wish the offing myself ending would have gotten like, I wish it would have showed Lizzie's reaction when she returned. That would have been cool. He felt like telling her that being held against his will wouldn't help, but her expression looked so sincere that he couldn't bring himself to say it. How'd she gotten prescription medications anyways? He found the one that he had been most satisfied with just before Miss Smith switched into Paxitine, and took the first dose. Lizzie smiled brightly and then skipped back up the stairs. Do you think we should like pick the other ones? Maybe we should pick the other ones. You look like you're studying really hard there. Maybe a little, but if this don't work, then the teachers bother me and I don't like that. Do you have a favorite subject? No, they don't matter. Well, maybe chemistry. I started paying attention because it seemed so useful, and I guess now I think it's a little interesting. Useful, really? Oh yes, chemistry classes were where I learned how to make chloroform. It's the same with my knives. I don't need so many, but I guess I like them a little. They're wonderful objects. Beauty and functionality fused together. Wow, that was kind of poetic. You thought so? You actually liked it? I'm so happy. For the rest of the day, Lizzie actually opened up a little bit more about her interests. Some of them were a little disturbing, but he was glad to see her care about anything other than him. That actually did not go like I thought it would. The next morning, he took his pills and with a glass of water. As usual, Lizzie waited until he was done and gave him a warm smile. I don't think the conversation on that option actually matters. I think it's just going to give you more information about Lizzie one way or another. I hope it's helping. You seem happier, John. I feel better than I expected. Pretty good, actually. It's actually strange how good he felt, and it was easier not to think about it at the moment. Instead, he brought up an issue that he'd been thinking about for a while. That reminds me, I've been meaning to ask you. You've run out of Yandere, right? She left the room and John knew that he had a rare opportunity, but he found himself sitting and thinking. Was it possible that he was right about the Paxitine? He hadn't taken it in several days, and after a few low points, he actually felt much better than usual. The terrible irony of depression medication was that sometimes a drug could make you feel even worse, not better. Maybe the changes he attributed to Paxitine was just changes in his life. There couldn't be anything to her conspiracy theories, but he could believe that Koitek would push their drug on anyone with depression even if it had mixed results. Things like that happen all the time. Well, different drugs also affect people differently, so... Abruptly, he resolved that if he made it out of the basement, he'd stop taking Paxitine as an experiment. He could stay on his old meds, see if he did better. He actually showed signs of improvement. Even Miss Smith would be happy to let him take older drugs. Regardless, for now, he needed to take stock of his options and take some kind of action while he had the opportunity and energy for it. He felt like he'd spent too much time thinking to make an escape attempt, but maybe he could accomplish something else. Let's stick with the same option before, but with the lack of depression, maybe I don't off myself. Just to see if it's the same. Since the previous dish she made had gone over so well, when Lizzie left, John set out to make something else. Given his limitations, though, it was hard not to repeat himself. This one made Lizzie smile, but he thought he also saw something in her eyes. When she took the food, he thought he heard her whispering something about how romantic he was being. On Friday, John woke up, stretched, yawned, searched the shackle on his leg, and got up to brush his teeth. Drug the food? I would totally do that if I was John. It was only while brushing his teeth and staring at the walls of knives that he realized how normal this bizarre situation had become. 1 week ago, Lizzie had been asking him out on a date and they had gone out like a normal couple. It felt like a lifetime ago. When he heard the basement door open, he didn't even glance up. He knew it would just be Lizzie again. He just rinsed out his mouth and set his toothbrush aside. Good morning. Can you believe it's been a week already? I was just thinking that actually. Hasn't it been wonderful? We've been together every single day. Bliss. You know, we haven't done anything that we couldn't have done without the kidnapping. But that's the point. She skipped in past him. The wall of knives. Lizzie held her arms behind her back. She examined them eagerly. When we were together at school, part of me was afraid we were both pretending. Even when we were alone, I wasn't myself. Lizzie chose one knife from the wall, caressing its edge slowly before taking it up. She turned to him, eyes unnaturally bright. Please don't look at me like that. Come on, man. A normal boy couldn't have done all those ordinary things with me after seeing the truth. You're saying I'm not normal? And I wouldn't want you to be. She wants me to be crazy! Oh, bro. Bro. This bitch, dude. I feel like it's like a weird roller coaster of like lies and manipulation. It's so weird, bro. And he's just like falling for it too. That's the worst part. She came closer, knife swaying back and forth as her gaze remained fixated on him. She was close now, close enough that she could have kissed him or stabbed him. I want you to learn that you shouldn't be afraid of me. You know I would never pick up a knife to hurt you, right? I wanted an answer. You know what? I got some advice a long time ago from a buddy of mine, and he said if you ever get in a fight, and you think that they're stronger than you, and you think you don't stand a chance, just kiss them. It'll throw them off and you'll win. Instead of answering a question that might not have a good answer, John leaned forward and kissed Lizzie gently. He gave a surprised gasp, kissed back for a moment, and then suddenly pulled back. See? It worked. It threw her off. John, why did you kiss me? Isn't that what you want? Yes, exactly what I want. You've been giving me exactly what I want. This isn't right. I've ruined everything. Lizzie, what are you talking about? Thought you needed to manipulate me, didn't you? Play with my feelings so I wouldn't hurt you. This is all my fault. I drove you to this. Lizzie rushed out of the room and slammed the door behind her. We survived one more day, boys. When she returned later in the day, she pretended like the kiss never happened. John did the same, but he couldn't help but to feel like something was different. On Saturday, Lizzie announced that she wanted to make a huge meal for both of them on the last day. She asked what he wanted to eat, then headed out for a shopping trip. As soon as he was sure she was actually gone, John got up and took a deep breath. He didn't have much time left before the vacation was over. But what did he want to do? Kills me, kills me, kills me. Like, I'm just gonna not do anything. I think I'm just gonna chill and hope that she just like lets me go. Because she has to let me go to school, right? Because otherwise, like, I guarantee at least the counselor will know like who I've been hanging out with and will be able to report it. Because I've been telling her everything pretty much, so I'm gonna not do anything. Though John considered a lot of options, they all felt futile. He was basically in Lizzie's power, so he might as well accept it. He tried to find a more comfortable position and slumped into his chair, head leaned against the back so he could stare up at the basement ceiling. All he could hope now was that she would decide to let him go. Maybe there would be something he could do to encourage that. But at the moment, he had no energy to think. For now, all he could do was wait. Everything was in place, including him slumped down in the chair. He could only hope he had done enough. He waited in silence while Lizzie went about upstairs, putting away what she had bought. Eventually, he heard the door open. She skipped down the stairs with a smile. John, how are you? I'm gonna let you go tomorrow. Really? You aren't worried I'll tell someone? I am. If you told someone, it would hurt me so much. But I can't hold you here forever. I want to keep you here forever, but I want you to choose to stay with me even more. That would be best. I see. Don't kidnap me in the first place. We're worked out fine. If you wouldn't have fucking nabbed me in the first place, everything would have been fine. Even if you're fucking crazy. You're not happy. After all this, do you really expect my emotions to be simple? Do you hate me? No, I don't think so. That is good, but I want more than that. I know, but you're gonna have to wait. You can't rush a relationship by forcing it. I know. Next time, you can choose when to ask me out, okay? Okay. That's my reward? I get to take her out next time instead of her asking me? That's what nets the happy music? Really? That's the happy music. His remaining time in the basement passed easily, almost casually. They didn't speak much about what was coming, and especially not about what had happened. They watched 2 more movies, chatted about simple things, finished up the last of their vacation homework, and on Sunday, Lizzie appeared in silence and unlocked the chain that kept him bound to the table. Did I get to shower at all? He stared at her and wished he could find something to say, but his mouth was too dry to speak. Eventually he laughed. He thought he might have seen a glimmer of tear in her eye, but it might have just been his imagination. The entire ride back, he tried to think about his experiences, but couldn't even begin to grasp everything that had happened. When John got home, he found the door undamaged. The entire house didn't look so different, as if it hadn't been abandoned for 9 days. There as only a single message on the answering machine. His father saying that he was going on a company vacation. He hadn't even noticed that John was gone. None of his friends had called. He had been taken out of the world and no one even noticed. That's fucking depressing. That's actually fucking depressing. The only person who had cared was Lizzie, but she wasn't there with him now, and there were still too many emotions to sort through with her. John sat down on the couch and simply felt numb. He fell asleep there, and an uncertain amount of time later, he slept and did not dream. In the morning, John still felt surprisingly refreshed. He made sure to take the meds that Lizzie had sent with him, since they seemed to have been working well so far. When he went to school, he would have to ask Miss Smith her opinion, because despite the absurdity of it all, they were still going to have to go to school. Lizzie wasn't waiting for him outside his house, which was probably a good thing, he decided. The walk to school in the crisp air gave him time to focus. Actually being able to breathe fresh air? What? Not that he reached any profound conclusions, but by the time he reached school, he at least felt reasonably okay. Lizzie wasn't waiting for him at school either, though he felt he spotted her peering at him from around a corner. Were they back at this again? Well, after what had happened, he wasn't going to complain about her giving him some space. He drifted through several classes. Today wasn't too different from the other students, since they were all back from vacation and unfocused. And none of the teachers tried to make them do very much either. After school, he headed to Miss Smith's office, not entirely sure what he was going to say. After so long, however, he definitely felt like he could use some counseling. Ah, John, hope you had a good vacation. It was okay. Yeah, just got kidnapped, didn't shower for a week. Fucking ate vegetables with little bits of wood in it from a crazy lady that chopped them off onto a table. Lived in constant fear that I wasn't going to come back to school with my wiener attached. No problem. Spent the entire time working, I'm afraid. I actually tried to call you, but it seems you weren't home. Yeah, I was, busy. Sorry. Oh, it's fine. I just hope you haven't lost any of our progress. Why don't you lie down? We can get started right away. He got onto the couch, but things didn't go as smoothly as usual. Miss Smith was doing her best, but he just couldn't concentrate. Didn't take a genius to know the reason. He needed to decide exactly what he was going to do. If he wanted protection from the police, this would be his best chance to ask for it secretly. Or even if he skipped some details, Miss Smith might be able to provide some kind of help. Or maybe he shouldn't tell her anything. Knowing John, he won't. It all had worked out for the best, hadn't it? Something on your mind, John? Let's tell her the truth. Actually, I'm afraid of Lizzie. She's... I don't know what, but there's something really wrong with her. Afraid? Are you concerned she might harm you or someone else? Has she issued an actual threat? I'm not trying to dismiss your concerns, John. In fact, I'm very willing to act on them. However, without evidence, it might be better to contact a different authority. Wojtek has measures... No! No! Oh no, she's gonna stab the bitch! No! John, why? Why would you betray me? Lizzie! Fuck! Then you lied to me. I thought I could trust you now. Stop that! While Lizzie had been focused on him, Miss Smith had been quietly removing something from her desk. She hesitated when Lizzie looked at her, but then kept moving. This is your fault. You won't take him away from me. Oh, she's pissed. Now, Lizzie, calm down. There's no need to make wild accusations. We can all... Lizzie leapt across the room, her knife flashing at Miss Smith's throat. To John's shocked, the older woman actually dodged back out of the way of the slash. Not only that, but her hand came up from the desk, carrying a syringe that she attempted to plunge straight into Lizzie's chest. Whoa, this is intense! But Lizzie was faster, bringing her knife down on the other woman's wrist. Miss Smith gave a cry of pain and dropped the syringe. And then, it was too late. Oh shit! No, Miss Smith! Bro, I literally just got the psychiatrist dead. Lizzie's next slash went straight through her throat, carrying a spray of blood with it before the rest began to flow down her neck. Lizzie turned towards him slowly. Her face was covered in blood, but he was more concerned about the emptiness growing in her eyes. I should have just ended it quietly. We could have been happy. Lizzie, what are you doing? I'm sorry, John. There's nothing else I can say to you. She rushed at him, just as he had known she would, but he didn't have the energy to dodge. It didn't matter. She was gonna get him in the end anyways. It hurt, but not as much as he had been expecting. He stared at the blood flowing down his body with no real emotion. Weeping, Lizzie leaned forward to kiss him. Her lips were strangely warm. No. It was just that his body was growing warm as the blood rushed out of it. The warmth increased, dissolving what remained of his thoughts. And then it was very cold. Not for long. Did I game over again? Yeah, I fucking game overed again. It's not even an ending. Hope glimmers stronger on another path. Restart the game for a better result. What do you mean restart the game? I'm gonna load that shit. So we're gonna try to hint that we're worried about Lizzie instead. See what that does. I'm just worried about Lizzie. She seems a little emotionally unstable. Stable? How exactly? It's hard to put a finger on it, but what you said about earlier got me thinking, and I'm not sure I feel safe all the time. But you two are still dating? I guess. And it probably isn't too serious. If she had a severe condition, she probably wouldn't be able to form normal bonds at all. Miss Smith, do you know something I don't? Just thinking out loud. Apparently, Miss Smith thought that he was doing better because she ended their session early and let him go home. On his way out, he spotted Lizzie watching him from the shadows. He smiled at her and she smiled back, but that was all. And for now, that was enough. John started walking. Alright, no stabby stab this time. The school year got away from him a little. Despite everything he'd been through, John found himself returning to something like a routine. He spent some time with Lizzie, but they didn't do anything too intense. Just shorter, fun dates, nothing too romantic. The sky still looked very gray to him, but he felt lighter than he had a long time ago. On occasion, he still headed to the library to try to look up more about Koitek, see if he could find out more about Lizzie's condition. It wasn't going terribly well. All he had to go on was old microfilm and random ideas, which was part of why he brought Lizzie, but she seemed uninterested. Eventually he sat back and taped his fingers to the desk. Tapped his fingers on the desk. Taped his fingers? Bro. Wondering if it was worth continuing. I miss being kidnapped. Start just binding yourself. Lizzie, when I was at your house, you made some pretty strong statements about Koitek. Do you know anything about them? No, can't really help you, John. It's just a feeling, a strong feeling. Not as strong as the sense that you were the one I was looking for, but I'm certain they don't want what's best. Sure, but does any corporation? This is different. It's only different because it affected you. After that, though, she couldn't explain herself any further. Seeing she didn't like that topic of conversation, John decided to let it go. It's not like we can learn anything meaningful about them. I mean, we're just a couple of kids. It's not like their secrets will be printed on the local paper. Well, we can leave it. We have more immediate concerns, don't we? Yes, actually, I have something I've been wanting to ask you. The country fair is coming up next month. Can we go? Well, I've always thought of it as kind of a cheap event, but maybe it wouldn't be so bad with you. Oh, bro, we got the gross ending. Yay, I'll look forward to it. It was only later that John remembered something some of his classmates had said. Elementary schoolers went to the fair to play games, middle schoolers went for the roller coasters, and high schoolers went to get laid. Was that what Lizzie had been meaning to imply? Had he just signed up for more than he had realized? Just say no. But over the next several days, she didn't act any differently and just seemed to look forward to it with innocent anticipation. It felt so awkward to bring it up, and the longer he didn't mention it, the stranger it got. And so, day by day, they eventually reached the date of the county fair. She's not naked, good sign. Lizzie met up at the edge of the fair, shifting from foot to foot eagerly. Her face lit up when she saw him, and she immediately hurried to meet him. "Oh, you're finally here. This is gonna be so much fun. I'm glad to spend time with you, but honestly, I haven't gone to the fair in a few years." "Oh, I'm sure we'll have fun. Besides, the important thing is that people will get to see us together." "What? Dating doesn't really count unless a guy is willing to go to the fair with you. Guys don't talk like that?" "What? No, but I'm happy to be seen with you." "Yay, let's go see what they have." For a while they just wandered, checking out all the attractions. Since the fair was still getting started up, it was easy to grab some food and cotton candy, which Lizzie happily fed him pieces of while they walked. Gross. Stay single, boys. Thinking about what being there together meant for her, John realized that he didn't mind. After everything they had been through, boyfriend and girlfriend felt like cheap words. Yeah, more like Stockholm Syndrome. He felt like the hardest stretch had been behind them. He'd seen Lizzie at her worst. He would be happy to be with her at her best. "Oh, is that a knife throwing booth? Please. We don't have to visit. Come on, let's go this way." "No, do the knife throwing booth, dude. You'd get some fucking prizes, my guy. Like, what the fuck? She could get you a big stuffed bear, John. Like, what are you doing, dude?" Instead, Lizzie directed them towards a high striker booth. John kind of marveled at it, he'd seen them in pictures. He'd seen them in pictures, but he hadn't been sure that they actually existed anymore. Some classmates he barely recognized were trying their luck at the moment, swinging the hammer overhead and bringing it down on the target as hard as they could. None of them could get the slider more than halfway to the bell. "John, try it." She would destroy that game? That's what I'm saying. Man, is there even any point? I'm gonna suck. But try anyways. Giving in, he inserted his coin. Just lifting up the hammer felt almost too heavy for him. Lizzie was watching him, so he couldn't give up. John brought the hammer down as best he could. It felt like a strong blow, but the slider barely moved up a quarter of the distance. Some of his watching classmates laughed. "See, I'm pathetic." "No, you just haven't learned to use your strength. Here, let me help you." She slid up behind him, wrapping her arms around his and changing his grip on the hammer, with her body so close against his, though the watching classmates stopped laughing. They're all laughing, and they're like, "Oh shit, he's gonna get laid, dude." Just straight up. "See, you need to throw your body into it." I think you're throwing my body into it. Like, this is a problem, Lizzie. You need to stop." So set your feet up like this, shift your hips a little. He felt a little bit like a doll being moved by her like that, but the pose she put him in did feel better. More of his body would be behind the swing now. Good, now try again. She backed away and John took a deep breath. If he sucked again, he was going to feel absolutely worthless. But no, he couldn't let himself think that. Instead, he brought the hammer down as hard as he could. To his surprise, it actually made it most of the way up. It didn't ring the bell, but it was better than he'd seen anyone else do. "See? Good job." Bro, that's embarrassing. He seemed absolutely elated, even with just his mildly improved performance. But despite himself, John found that his mood was improved. They walked away together, ignoring the watchers entirely. Lizzie would know about bodies. Yeah, she's got like 4 of them just chilling in that fucking basement, probably. Surprised you know so much about this kind of thing. Oh, hammers are interesting. They're just very, very messy. I should have known better than to ask. There was a moment of hesitation in her eyes, but she saw his smile and then returned to it. At another booth, Lizzie managed to toss every single ring onto the furthest pin. That won her a giant stuffed bear, which she just laughed and gave to him to hold. I knew he was gonna get a giant bear, dude. Oh, it's so embarrassing. For a while, he was having a great time, but then, still carrying the bear, he had an unpleasant snicker. He heard an unpleasant snicker. Are you fucking serious? You two came here to play with stuffed animals? One of his classmates was there with his girlfriend, pawing at her chest while she giggled and swatted at his hands. They both leered at John and Lizzie holding hands. I mean, what are you, 12? Once, taunts might have bothered him, but now John didn't care. He didn't even have any desire to prove that his friend was wrong. When he thought about everything he had been through with Lizzie, he felt her squeeze his hand and he just didn't care. Come on, let's ditch these losers. Classmate's girlfriend led them away and John didn't really care about that either. When he gave Lizzie a smile though, she seemed a little irked. You can just ignore them, you know. Yeah, but that won't be satisfying. Come on, this way. She dragged him into a narrow alleyway between two stalls. Are we gonna kill them? A little ways down, there was a closed-off space between several of the temporary stalls, surrounded by three sides. The sound of the fair seemed softer. He became very aware of how alone they were as Lizzie slid off her jacket. Want to do something not childish at all? Yes, I think I do. I know I can be a difficult girlfriend sometimes, but I want to show you that I can be nice too. Are they gonna prank them, or what's going on? He leaned his back up against the wall, needing a moment to catch his breath. Lizzie seemed to have no trouble fixing her shirt and then rising to give him a hug. Bro, did they just like bone? Ew. Please say that. Ew. Oh. Oh, they did. Oh, no. John, my boy. Oh my god. Ew. Maybe we can do it more. Ew. Bro, I'm just glad it didn't describe the scene, man. Oh, God. Ew. Ew. He's straight off the path, boys. Can we go back to the suicide ending? Bro. Nasty. The cold air forced him to step away from her soon and zip up his pants. Still, he felt warm, not just in a sexual way. Bro, their first time was literally in the alleyway at a fair. So they headed back to the alley, out of the alley. John felt like everyone must have noticed, but nobody even looked at them. Actually, things outside seemed different. He frowned and glanced at Lizzie, who paused for a moment then nodded. Is something wrong? The sounds in the distance aren't normal. There's too much tension. As soon as she said it, he realized that she was right. It didn't sound like people talking and having fun. They were upset about something. Without needing to discuss it, they headed towards the source of the commotion. Soon they arrived at a densely packed group of people clustered around a line of police tape. You could see a few cops moving within it, and spinning lights lit the entire scene in strange colors, but he couldn't tell what happened. Lizzie shook her head, muttering something to herself. Not sure how to help her, John found a familiar face in the crowd and tapped her shoulder. Hey, what's going on? Oh god, it's horrible. Someone from our school was killed. What? Who? His face was taken off entirely. They're still trying to identify him. Oh shit. Do they know who did it? They say it... I can't believe it, but they said it was some girl from our school. She stabbed 2 of the police officers, like with a knife. They had to be rushed to the hospital. Oh, what about her? They shot her. Seriously. Or at least that's what I heard. I just got here in time to see the body before they covered it up. But I didn't see the violent part. I see. I wanted to back away in any case, but Lizzie was tugging on his arm. John nodded a quick goodbye and let her drag him away from the crowd. John. Lizzie, do you know something about this? You know it wasn't me, right? You trust me, don't you? Obviously it wasn't you. You were just boning him in the alley. It couldn't have been you. I'm not worried about that. You were with me the entire time. But do you know something? There was another girl. Not like me, but similar. In our school? Really? Her mother knew Abby. They got kicked out of Koi Tech program together. For the same reason, being pregnant? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I never liked her. We really never spoke. But I think she could have been capable of this. What do we do? Before she could answer, several unmarked vehicles drove up, right onto the fairground. The men that emerged from them wore blank uniforms that meant nothing to John, but immediately filled him with a sense of dread. Oh my god, Koi Tech is evil. Whoa! In a matter of minutes, they were everywhere. The police were patrolling more seriously. The strange men had taken over the crime scene and the atmosphere became tense. John, we should go? Exactly. Whoa, Koi Tech is evil as fuck! What the hell? She went with him to his door and he kissed her goodnight. They both knew that things weren't alright. Not yet. With a cloud of uncertainty hanging over him, he had a very difficult time falling asleep. In the morning, for once John felt brighter than everyone else. The school had flag at half-mast in mourning, and class was cancelled so they could have a special assembly about the incident. It seemed to have shaken everybody else to the core, but John felt fine. He'd seen it happen, seen what Lizzie did, but he just felt comfortably numb. Of course, even at his brightest, he didn't exactly look happy, so no one gave him a second thought. Most students were wrapped up in themselves anyways. After school, he received a note from Miss Smith saying that he should come to talk to her about how he felt about the whole thing. Not really necessary, but he appreciated her concern. Until he got inside. Oh no! Lizzie sat in a chair, obviously uncomfortable, while Miss Smith sat nearby, sorting through several bottles of Koitek drugs. John, glad you could make it. Sure. Why is Lizzie here? There's a lot of traumatized couples in the wake of the incident. I thought I could do some counseling so no one makes any decision they regret. Oh, thank you, but is that really necessary? While he spoke, he managed to catch Lizzie's eye. All he saw was uncertainty, but she was hard to read. Go ahead, John, sit down. I hope that hasn't been too hard on you. I'm, managing. It's hard to believe. The reality will probably set in increasingly over time. I think it might actually be good to increase your dosage. Why does he need to take more? Lizzie, you have to understand, John isn't well. There's nothing wrong with him, he just needs a little help. That's true. Though, now that you speak up, Lizzie, have you ever considered taking some medication yourself? Your behavior could probably use some normalizing. What's that supposed to mean? I'm talking to her, not you, John. Lizzie, would you be willing to take a few medications? Okay. I was afraid of this. Without warning, Miss Smith struck Lizzie's arm with something that glinted silver. He only saw a glimpse of what looked like a syringe before Miss Smith pulled back and it was hidden in her sleeve. The effect on Lizzie was instantaneous. She grimaced and dropped to the floor, gripping her arm. John tried to go to her, but Miss Smith moved to stop him. You should stay away. She isn't stable. What the hell did you do to her? Bro, what? That was nothing but a confirmation of what I already suspected, John. I'm sorry, but Lizzie is not a normal girl. Shut up! Don't say that! No, you don't understand. She is exposed to the same chemicals as the murderer last night. Without heavy medication, there's no way she can be normal. But she said she would take it. She lied. I don't know how, but she's somehow gained a degree of stability. Without any moral compass, that makes her far more dangerous. I'm sorry, John, but she needs to be sedated for her own good. Ah! Without warning, Lizzie sprang to her feet, clutched her head with both hands, and let out a screaming laugh. There was something horrible burning in her eyes, something he'd never seen before. You see, she's gone crazy unless we— Oh! Stabby stabby! Lizzie's knife flickered in and out. Flickered out and stabbed Miss Smith in the heart. The older woman stared back in shock, struggling with Lizzie's arm, but couldn't prevent the next stab. Panicking, John went to try to stop her, catching her arm, and before he knew it, cold steel plunged into his stomach. He saw horror in Lizzie's eyes, and then a new wave of terrible madness. As he faded away, he heard the sounds of screams and horrible laughing. I still died. I still fucking died. I still fucking died. Okay, so she went actually completely batshit insane. And fucking stabbed the shit out of me. By accident this time. So we still haven't gotten any real endings. But there was no more choices that would have really made a difference through a lot of that, so I don't know. There's a lot of dead-end endings so far, like, as far as I can tell at this point, dude. There's gonna be a lot of dead ends. It was a good read, though. It was a good read. But at least we got some semblance of an ending, I guess. It wasn't really an ending, but we got some semblance of an ending. Anyways, have a good night, boys.